I've gotten a couple DMs about clearing your garment while carrying concealed and how I do it, or why I do it a certain way, or why I don't advocate other ways. Okay. The way that I clear a garment is positive control of the garment, meaning my hand wraps completely around it. I don't pinch the garment and pull it up. I've tried it, I've done it, but it doesn't work for me. If you do that, that's fine, as long as you have positive control of the garment until you have positive control of the gun. So I reach down at the hem, grab it, and then I do effectively a bicep curl and then grasp the gun. When the gun leaves the holster, the hand releases the garment, they come together, and I present the gun. Okay? It's pretty simple. It allows me, again, to adhere to one of my first principles of concealed draw, which is positive control of the garment until you have positive control of whatever item you're trying to access, whether it's the gun or a spare magazine. Now, that has been referenced as opposed to holding the shirt, okay, or having your hands down here like this, open in front of the gun. Okay, we'll deal with the cheater mode, holding the shirt. Okay, the problem with that is skill avoidance versus skill refinement. Clearing the garment is the most likely failure point or mistake you're going to make when drawing from concealment. As soon as you grab that garment, you just omitted that from your training. Okay, and then to read a scenario in, well, if you were in this situation, wouldn't you grab your shirt? When you start to read your own privately cherry picked scenario into a technique, you're already wrong. You're already wrong. You're already trying to find a way to justify it, and that's incorrect. I want skill development. Okay. The closer my hands are to that garment, the easier it is. The further away they are, okay, the more difficult it is. I would rather train on the more difficult technique, and then the other one's easy. If I have the opportunity to grab a shirt, which would be, I believe, relatively rare, then I could do it. But I know how to clear the garment from any posture or hand orientation. Okay. So the whole cheater mode it is avoiding skill refinement. It's omitting it. And you're trying to claw back time. You're trying to go a little faster by omitting skill requirements in your training. That is not the answer, period. And you can't argue it. You can't. Okay. The other one is I see people start like this with their hands out. Okay. Their hands right here. All you're doing is closing the distance between your hands and the gun. I know what you're doing. I've done it before. Yeah, it's a little bit faster. Okay. When you're starting to get down to hyperspeed draws where you're looking for not sub-second, but you're looking 0.8 or sub 0.8 draws from concealment. I know why you're doing it, and so do you. Okay. But nobody stands like this. Nobody stands like this. Okay. When people are threatened, they stand like this with their hands here and out, like stay back, or they stand like this, trying to protect their face. Okay. I can tell you from my little slice of the universe, when I was a younger, less refined gentleman, if we have an altercation, I'm like, hey, dude, my hands are here. You literally have about a second and a half, and I'm throwing from right here, I'm throwing a jab and an overhand right. Okay. All I'm doing is closing the distance between my hands and your face to make it harder for you to counter anything I do. Okay. That's not like figured into a concealment strategy. Okay. Just like grabbing the shirt. Okay. You don't figure into a scenario. You don't create a scenario and then go, okay, that's why this technique is valid. If you are holding your shirt, you are omitting a skill requirement, which is the most likely failure point in concealment draw, which is clearing the garment. If your hands are down here, what you're doing is minimizing the distance to try and steal back some time without any skill. Okay, by limiting the amount of skill required. I wouldn't say no skill. You're limiting the amount of skill that is required by closing the distance between your hands and the gun. Okay, which is exactly why when my hands are up like this, I'm throwing a jab and an overhand right. I'm closing the distance between your face and my hands to make it easier for me to throw effective strikes. Okay? So when you're looking at these things, understand if you are practicing, if you're trying to find the absolute easiest way to do something, and then you're quantifying it with a timer and saying, look what I'm capable of doing, you're only capable of doing that if you have those perfect conditions. That's all. Okay? That's it. And so you're cheating yourself out of a training opportunity by trying to omit steps that are more difficult. So again, if you're drawing from concealment or you're practicing drawing from concealment, do it with your hands relaxed to the sides. Just your hands hang down. Okay? Do it with your arms folded. If you want to do it with your hands up, this ain't hands up. This, okay? Just like if you look at sports shooting, hands above shoulders or wrists above shoulders, up here like this. It's called the surrender position for a reason. Train where it's more difficult, and then anything closer than that to the gun, or anytime you can grab a garment, as a precursor, hey, you got a freebie. All right. So again, understand why we do the things that we do, and understand if someone is selling you something that is built on a story that they created to justify the technique they're using. That is not the answer. It's not the answer with the highest level organizations that I've worked with, and I've worked with the highest level organizations that are out there. Mike Pannone, CTT Solutions. Train hard, but train proper and smart.